So, in therapy today, I touched on how I feel about the world being hellish, like a hell, in a lot of ways. And my therapist said a hellscape that she felt too. A lot of times it's like a hellscape. And I think that's appropriate to how I feel a lot. And yes, it is quite a negative way to look. I don't think it's like that all of the time. But with the depression I deal with and the ups and downs of that, like a roller coaster, the way I can feel others' feelings, and when I'm out and about in, say, a grocery store or in a gas station, or I've been at different jobs in my life, whatever it is, the ugliness, there's just an ugliness to so many people. And it seems like it's gotten worse to me, really, since COVID. There seems to be like this time split between 2019 and 2020 when COVID happened, and then after everything started opening back up, well, here in America anyway, the way that played out, I'm sure it's probably played out in similar ways in different parts of the world. It's probably played out similar to where it seems like things have just gotten uglier. But I guess I was thinking about that today because people live in a bubble. A lot of people, they don't think about, like, if they live, say, in a decent place and live in a place where they can walk outside and they're not immediately threatened by something, that maybe they live in a bubble to where they think, oh, life's great because their immediate circle is great, and forget about all the suffering that goes on in the world, like all the wars and all the people dying all of the time. People like over in the Middle East, and we have this thing going on in Ukraine, and we got all these things that happen. And then depending on where you live in the world, some places are more crime ridden than others. Here in America, of course, we have a lot of crime, and our big cities have gangs, and there's a lot of gun violence in our country. Of course, I'm sure that's no secret to the rest of the world, how America has so much gun violence. But, I think about all this crime and all these things that go on, and all these people addicted to hard drugs. And sometimes I even have to remind myself when I'm feeling really, really bad, which is valid, but I still sometimes have to remind myself, like, wow, there's probably this person right now dying of a drug overdose. Or there's this young woman that's caught up in prostitution, or there's this trafficking going on. There's these kids or these adults or whoever being trafficked, or there's all these sorts of things going on at any given time. Or there's this person unaliving right now, doesn't want to be here anymore, and this person doing the same things. Because really, I think that goes on every so many seconds, unaliving. I'm not sure what the exact statistic is, but the hellscape, I just think, gets to me. I'm sure it gets to a lot of people. When you have depression, when it gets darker or more severe on you, man, you can really feel all of that. And you just want to stay isolated that much more. I'm so happy I'm not responsible for children, or I don't have any. I don't have a spouse or anyone that depends on me, because I can barely at times take care of myself in the proper way. It's been like that. It's getting a little better here and there, but it's been like that for me for a long time. Now, what I'm going to say is, should you dwell on the world often being a hellscape or parts of the world being a hellscape? No, I want to a lot of the time. But if you're going to live and continue to try to make a future for yourself in some way, some fashion, you can't. You have to try to just move through it and not try to. It's not that you forget about it or that you act like it don't exist like a lot of people do, but you just try not to dwell on it. You just try not to watch every piece of news on whatever's going on all of the time and try to move forward. Try to find a happy medium, I suppose. That's the challenge, trying to find a happy medium. Don't be so locked in a bubble that you act like none of it happens. I mean, I could use an example of New Age too. I was talking about New Age in my last video and how you can get locked into a cult with that. Or it can be like a religion. And the reason is, this is a good example. In New Age, often people get so caught up in toxic positivity with that they'll talk about this new earth and things like that. And sometimes it can get utterly ridiculous because they make it sound like if they just set their mind into it being a new earth, then it's like all this other stuff is just gonna poof and go away, or people aren't really dying around the world, or these wars are just done or going away, or all this crime is just gone, all this suffering's just gone. I think you can live in a higher vibration. I think if you get in a higher vibration, you can shift your personal timeline and open up more positive doors for yourself. But that doesn't mean all that other stuff's just gonna stop, that it's just gone. I think it's just the nature of this world that we live in. It's the nature of this world that it just is what it is, that it's dense. It's dense. There's a lot of evil. There's a lot of darkness. Now, is there a lot of light too? Yeah. There's a lot of good going on too, and there are people living good lives, and there are people doing good things, and so it's not all dark. So for me, I guess what I'm saying is when you battle mental illness, you battle depression, I do believe you're going to be more susceptible to seeing the hellscape for what it is. And it makes it just a little more challenging to try to lift yourself up above that, to not constantly dwell on it. So try to get out in nature if possible. I try to do that from time to time. I run at the park when I can get myself to do it. Maybe watch a movie you love. You know, I love to watch true crime and horror and all of that. I do try, though, to watch comedy every now and then to lighten up the mood. But try to find things that can drag you up out of that pit of despair to where you just don't dwell there. So, don't really have an ending to the video, just some thoughts I had, and I guess that's how a lot of this is going now with me being back on here. Just stuff to ponder on. The hellscape we live in and what we can do to sometimes try to lighten up the mood. I'll talk to you all later on.